guys, welcome back. After my video on ChatGPT a couple weeks ago, one of you sent me a link to a new AI engine that's specifically targeted for legal applications called Citation. And rather than doing an independent review of Citation, I thought that I would do a comparison to something that we're already familiar with, ChatGPT. They're both powerful tools that can help us in this fight, but the kinds of help they have to offer are a little bit different, as you'll see today. ChatGPT is a well-known tool offered by OpenAI, and you just ask it questions and it gives you answers. With ChatGPT, we can get to a useful end product, but getting there may take some effort and may also require some insight about the law around our case. Fortunately, once we train it on the facts of our case and our preferences, it develops an understanding of how we like to do things, and going forward, it takes less and less effort. Citation AI is much more legally intensive, so getting to a useful product there doesn't require us to know quite so much about the law. ChatGPT is really good at breaking the law down into plain language, which makes the law much more accessible for novices and pro se plaintiffs. Citation is more like talking to an attorney. Rather than just telling you about the differences, I thought I'd show you. And to do that, I'm going to use the same pre-typed case summary that I used in my ChatGPT video, and I'm going to ask both of these engines some commonly asked questions. Now, by far, the most common question that I get is, do I have a case? Right off the bat, ChatGPT gives me some reassurance that what I've said is clear, and it answers my question up front. Yes, I have a strong case. Citation is more like querying a database, except that you can do it in natural language instead of having to write code, and it's slightly less encouraging about the strength of my case. It hedges, just like a real lawyer. Now, in answer to this question, both ChatGPT and Citation laid out potential claims that I might have, and for each one they walk me through what the law says I need to prove and point to specific facts from my case that might support that type of claim. Both platforms tell me that I may have a case and lay out what that case may be. But the way ChatGPT decided that was sort of a black box, in that I don't know where or how it got its information. Citation is much more transparent. It shares its sources and explains how each source relates to my case. And right away, that helps me understand the law around my case much better. And for question 2, I ask it to draft a timeline and a summary to guide me in talking to employment attorneys about my case. Now, the timelines themselves were almost identical, but the attorney summaries were much different. ChatGPT gave me a separate and very short attorney summary in plain language, while Citation actually integrated the timeline into the attorney summary right off the bat. And it also included things like standards of review and legal authorities that could apply to my case, which was, again, great for helping me understand the legal underpinnings. But I'm not sure the Citation summary is actually the one I'd want to use if I were talking to employment attorneys, because it's pretty technical, almost too technical. I mean, it looks like I'm trying to be a lawyer myself, which is probably going to be a red flag for most attorneys. Next, I ask him to draft a complaint suitable for federal court, with relevant case law. Now, if I was a pro se plaintiff, I'd feel comfortable filing either one of these complaints, although there were some notable differences, primarily in the statutory and case law citations. The Citation complaint is much more precise, and you can see that right out of the gate. The ChatGPT version cites to 29 U.S.C. Section 701, which basically says this statute is intended to protect disabled workers, while the Citation version cites to 29 U.S.C. 791, which lays out the specific measures that federal agencies have to take to protect our rights. Citation also did a better job with the case law citations. ChatGPT used a lot of blanket citations to landmark cases and used them to support top-level arguments, things like an employer must reasonably accommodate us unless it would cause an undue hardship, while Citation gave more detailed arguments about specific aspects of the agency's behavior, like when NASA claimed to have given me reasonable accommodation but only did it on paper, which made those accommodations totally ineffective. ChatGPT just sort of glossed that over. Now, I happen to know that's an important point that I need to make in my complaint, but a new plaintiff just starting out might not know that. Another thing Citation did that I really like is that it cited cases that aren't necessarily the big landmark cases. It pulled from a wide variety of cases and cited them in ways that fit the specifics of my case. So when it comes to drafting legal documents and crafting legal arguments, Citation is much better, especially for new plaintiffs who are just starting to learn about the law. Now let's talk about a couple other things that might influence which one you choose. The first one is privacy. How safe is the information we're giving it? Well, Citation is very strict about privacy. ChatGPT, much less so. By default, ChatGPT is probably going to use the information we give it to train the model, unless we specifically tell it not to. But honestly, I wouldn't give either one of them sensitive information. I mean, I didn't tell either one things like the names of the other people involved in my case, or even specific dates around my case. Another important factor is cost. Now, this demo was done with the free version of both products, but of course they both offer paid versions too. The free version of Citation has a strict per-month limit on the number of questions you can ask it, while the paid version allows for much more access. Just by doing this demo and asking a couple of other questions, I hit the limit, so now I can't ask it anything for a month. That's frustrating. But on the other hand, I understand why that is. For just $79 a month, Citation will give you access to many of the same databases and logic models that you might get from more expensive paid services. And right now, Citation is offering a promotional deal. If you refer someone who signs up for a paid plan, even if you're using the free version, you both get a $40 credit as long as they use your referral code. Here's my code, and I'll put it in the description as well in case any of you want to get a discount and help out the channel. The free version of ChatGPT lets you ask as many questions as you want. The paid version is going to give you a more advanced logic model, but you can still use the less advanced model even if you can't afford to pay. Neither of these tools is perfect, but Citation can do some things that ChatGPT sometimes has trouble with, and in a more transparent way. And despite being a paid option, Citation is one of the most affordable legal AI tools out there, and you can try it out for free. If you do, let me know what your experience is down in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Till then, take care and hang in.